So hi guys, here we are. We're going to be doing a valve lash adjustment on a Honda Prelude. This is a Generation 5, 5th gen, 1998 model. So this model I believe goes to, I think it's 96 to 2001. What we've done so far is we've taken the rocker head off the engine. Let's have a look. So here it is guys, as you can see we've taken off the cover. This is what it looks like. You can see, give it a quick wipe in a couple of places. I will do a bit of a clean before we even start. Let's have a look. So as you can see guys, we've got the top off the engine and it's a bit dirty. We're going to give it a quick wipe in a few places. You can see the gasket on here was leaking in a couple of places. It was leaking oil into the spark plugs here. So I've given it a wipe and you can see on this one down here, you can see all over. These two were the ones that were not doing too great. When we adjust the valves on it, we shove the feelers underneath here and here, and you adjust, you untighten those bolts and you can adjust them with a screwdriver. On the bonnet here, it tells you the adjustment, the valve lash adjustment. So as you can see guys, it says here, valve lash on the intake should be 0.17 millimeters plus or minus 0.02 millimeters, and the exhaust side it should be 0.19 plus or minus 0.02 millimeters. So we're going to be doing that. The exhaust side is, of course, where the exhaust side is this side here, and the intake side is the other side. So guys, so while we're doing it, I'm going to change the spark plugs. And as I mentioned, the gasket on here was leaking a little bit, so there's been a bit of oil that's gone into the spark plugs, which can't be really helping it. So I'll get that out. Look at all the oil in that. That is not good. Not what I really wanted. So I've got this little tool to pull them out. There we go. And look, they're coated in oil. That does not look what you expect it to look like in the slightest. Get those out. Got the new spark plugs. So the new spark plugs are, got some decent Bosch ones. They were like $10 each. These ones are, what are they? Double platinum. The code on this is FR7KPP33U plus A141. But hey, just go online, check out spark plugs for Honda Prelude 1998. These will come up, as I say, not too expensive. All right, so we've got 3 of them out so far. I'll just get the last one out. As you can see, really oily. So as you can see, so this is the rocker cover that I've taken off, and around these gaskets, it's been leaking oil, as you can tell, onto the spark plugs. Now this feels, we've got a new set, it feels pretty hard, so I can see why it would be, which will be one of the key reasons why this engine is blowing. We're using far too much oil because it's going straight into the engine. Not ideal, but hey, not a show breaker. So we are going to do, I'm going to do a good clean on this, get rid of all this crappy gunk on here before I put it back on. Okay, so this is the new kit that I got for the cover. So you can see it comes with a full rocker cover gasket kit. It's a Gen 900K. This was, I think it was about $70 or $80 for this, Aussie dollars. So, you know, if you're talking about US, you're probably talking about $45–50 for that. You also got these new rubbers, and likewise there for all the bolts. They have all these new little pieces of metal when you're doing that. So it gives you all quite a few more bits and bats to put back on it when you're replacing it. And likewise these things here. So it comes with the replacement ones of these, which don't look like they're doing too good. So we will replace all of them. Okay, so we're going to pull off the old gasket. Pull this gasket off. Look how easy it comes off. There's the old gasket set. Pretty cool how it sits in there just nicely. You can see it's super easy how it sits in there. Sits in there in the little widget spaces there, and it comes off super easy as well. So we'll put that aside. We will give this a bit of a clean up around here. as you can see, you know, there's a little bit of gunk around here, so we want to give it a good clean before we get this back on. Clean all this rubbish up, and we will adjust all of the valve lashes under here. So it's really easy to do it here, but let's do that in a minute. Okay, so what we've got to do first, we've got to adjust the valves. So I'm going to use a long ratchet, put in here. It's a 19mm ratchet, and you've got to do it anti-clockwise, so loosening this. Well, not that it's loosening it, but as if you were loosening it. So I'm going to be turning it around, so that's in place now, and you can see what I've done is on top of the valve I've just put a long screwdriver. It's a really long screwdriver. Put it on. What I want to be seeing on here is this needs to get to the very top, and it needs to stay constant at the top, stop moving before it goes down. When it gets to the very top, that's when I know it's in the right place. So I'm going to turn it anti-clockwise. You can see it going up. So there we go. See it going up. Going up, keeps on going up. See, it's there. It stopped going up. So that's at the top now. And if you come in and look at this straight, you can see how I know it's in the right place is because the arrow here is pointing straight up. So I now know that obviously that's at the very top because it's pointing up, and my screwdriver has got to the very top. So that's a great way of just double checking it's in the right place. All right, so we're now at the point where we're ready to adjust the valve lashings on this. And as I mentioned before, it says on the bonnet exactly what it needs to be. It needs to be, for the intake, it needs to be 0.17, and the exhaust needs to be 0.19. So this is a thickness gauge. So here we go. The one I need to be picking is 0.17. So that's the one for the intake, and for the exhaust is 19. So this one should fit. The intake is this side. So this one, as you can see, it's 0.17. That's what should be going in there. And that just doesn't fit in. That just doesn't fit in the slightest. It's 0.19 at the front, so if I try at the front, likewise, that just doesn't fit in at all. So that is way too tight. So if I check how tight they are, so here we go. I'll just use a different one. I'll use 0.03 just to see how tight that one is. See where that one fits in. So just going on to that one. Yeah, that fits in perfectly, 0.03. So let's see the tightness of this. So I'll go up from 3 to, let's say, let's pump it up to 7. So this is 7. Is that one going to fit in? Even that one's tight. That one's really tight. So even at number 7. Oh, it does fit in. There we go. 7 does fit in. Just fits in, and 7 on this one. Yeah, you can see it coming all the way through when I push it through. 7 fits in, but that 7 is pretty tight. If I try, where is it now? If I try 10. Given that it's supposed to be at 17, I'll turn it back. No, that won't go in there. Let's see if it goes in this way. Likewise, it won't go in there. So you can see, yeah, that is way too tight. With it being too tight, that when you start the engine, you hear a tiny bit of a knocking on the engine, just a tiny bit. It's not bad, but it's, yeah, a tiny bit of just a bit of a ticking on the engine. So that ticking will be because, you know, it's literally just too tight. So that's what we need to do. We need to adjust these intake valves. Sorry, the valve lashes. We need to adjust them to get them back to what they should be, which is 17 at the back and 19 at the front. All right, so guys, so in order to do this job, you need to use a 10mm. You need to use a 10mm bolt. Sorry, 10mm socket to get on here. But of course, when you use a 10mm socket, you need to adjust the screwdriver. You need to adjust it with a screwdriver as well. So you need to buy this special tool. So it's this, what do you call it? A valve lash adjuster tool. I bought this, I think it was like $40. A bit expensive just to save $40 for one tool, but hey, I suppose you need it for the job. So literally it's as simple as putting it in here, putting the valve, putting it on top of the nuts and adjusting, taking it. So before I even start this though, just as a recap, so I can only adjust cylinder 1 because cylinder 1 is the one that I know is at top center. So once I go to the next cylinders, I need to make sure they're at the top center as well before I start those ones. So I can start this one. So I'm going to just loosen this one up. Okay, there we go, it's loosening up. It's loose now. So now that's loose, I can then adjust the screw on it. And can you see in there? You can see there's my screwdriver going into it, and then I can adjust the screw now. So let's get the right valve. So let's get the right gauge thickness. So we want this to be 19. This is 19 at the front. So pick number 19. So there we go, there it is. Number 19. Push it through, which it won't do it, so I'm going to just undo this. Do it until it goes through. There we go, it's through now. Make sure it's right. Okay, it's in. So I'm going to just tighten it up. Okay. That won't come out now. That's too tight. Just literally squish the gauge. Okay, it's out, but that's super tight. Good. Okay, so we're going to do the next cylinder. So we're doing exactly the same as we did the first cylinder. We're going to adjust that socket, and we're going to see I've shoved the screwdriver in. You can see it going up. It's going up. And it's stuck exactly at the top. Perfect. Okay, so another job that I need to do is I need to get this whole valve cover cleaned off. As you can tell, I'm just slowly cleaning it right now. Cleaning it good clean down. So my job is to clean this whole thing up. Get it all looking nice and decent again. Okay, so as you can see, I've cleaned the rocker cover on the inside. It's looking a lot better than it did. It's not looking perfect, not at all, but it's certainly looking so much better than it did do previously. I mean, it's just a pain to freaking clean this thing, an absolute pain. And I'm going to actually paint it before we put it back on. As you can tell, it certainly looks a lot better. Well, it looks a lot cleaner now that it's been all scrubbed down. Okay, so I've given it a full clean. You can tell it looks so much cleaner now. I was just annoying me, it being dirty, so spent a bit of time and got it all crystal clean on the inside. Well, I reckon it's like 99% perfectly clean. So I'm pretty happy with that. And I also decided to paint the whole thing. Didn't like the blue, so I changed it to red. So I put a few coats of undercoat on it, and then I got a engine ceramic paint, got the red stuff, and gave it a few coats, and I think it's looking pretty good. So it's now ready to put back on the engine. So obviously to do this, all I need to do is pull this off, put my new one back on. I'm gonna, while I'm doing it, I'm gonna replace a few of these things here, so I'll pull these off as well, get some new ones of these, which hopefully should sort out that annoying leak that is leaking into the spark plug. So I'm guessing it was probably around there where the leak was causing it. So once I fix these, should solve my whole problem. Now that all of the valve lashes are all tightened up and all in the right place. So let's get it on. Okay, so just about to put these new ones back on. Just going to give it a bit of a clean and air, get some of the oil out, push them back in there. It looks good. The old ones were really hard, so I'm guessing that's why they were leaking a bit of oil. They were cheap getting this new pack. So clean in here, clean it all out, new ones in, and like that, there we go. Not really hard, ridiculously easy to do this. Shoving them in. Give it a bit of a clean now first. There you go. Next one in. Last one. Here it is. Shove that in. Good, and that is now ready to go back on once I've got the new gasket on. I'll put this in, but before I put this on, I'm going to just put some liquid rubber on there. That will hold this in place as well. Okay, so before I put it back on, I'm going to put a bit of this Ultimate Black silicone gasket maker and sealant. So I'll shove a bit on it. So I've just opened it up. This is a brand new tube of it. So just bought this from the local auto place. Put a bit in. You can tell it's brand new. It's coming out very quick. Maybe need to cut a bit more off here. A bit better. Feel that come out a bit quicker now. Or maybe not. Maybe get a bit more. See, shove some in there. There we go. Tighten it up on there. Tighten it up in there. I think I should have put that hole a bit bigger in there. In there. Down a bit in there. A little bit in there. Maybe this one was a dodgy one because it's not coming out very easy. Or maybe I just needed to do the hole a bit bigger. I'm going to cut that off a bit more. That's fine. See if that helps a bit. Make the hole a bit bigger. There we go. A little bit more in there. Yeah, put a little bit of dollop in the middle here. Dollop at the other side. Put it there. Over there. As you can tell, this stuff is not easy to get out. Yeah, just a tiny bit in there. Realistically, you don't actually need a lot of this in at all, because to be honest, the gasket's fine. It's just I don't want the gasket to fall out when I'm putting it in, because if it falls out whilst I'm putting it in, it's not going to go in the right place, which means the gasket's not going to work very well and it's going to leak. Okay, last bit here. Okay, that's it. Last bit there. Now let's get the gasket on. This on. Put it in. And that sealant that I just put in is going to hold this in place nicely, so it's not going to fall out. Okay, it's all in place, ready for me to put on. Okay, so now it's all ready to go back in. So I did put some new spark plugs in. I think I showed you them. So replace the spark plugs. Now I'll carefully put this back on. I want to do it carefully so I don't mark my paintwork, because I spent hours doing this paintwork. Get that in. Make sure this is on right. Come around here. Okay, so I just need to play around this a little bit more, get this in the right place. Doesn't feel like it's on properly, so I'll just take it back up again. There we go, you can see why. The gasket has fallen off, which is why it didn't feel like it was in place correctly. You do not want this coming off when you're doing it, so we've got to be careful when we do this. Got to be really careful. We'll do this one more time. Don't want that falling down. It's the last thing we want to happen. Let's do this again. Okay, now that has gone in. That's gone in nicely. Just check it all the way around. Wipe the muck off the top because we don't. And it's nice and tidy and clean. And that's in nicely. So it's bedded down perfectly. So it's now time to get all the screws back on, tighten it all up in place. Let's get that done next. Okay, so I'm going to I've got all these new rubber washer things. So I'll keep it all super tight and nice and clean. There's a pack of them. There we go. So a pack of all of these cost, I think they're around $20–30, something like that. Weren't too expensive. While you're doing it, you may as well get all brand new ones. Just makes it look nice and clean and tidy. So, and for the cheap price that they are, why wouldn't you? And you know you're not going to have any issues anywhere. And get these back on. Okay, do that, and now I'll start getting the nuts on. Okay, so we're now ready to screw it all back in place, get the bolts back on. So I've got my torque spanner. Put them on, so it needs to be done to 8. We're doing it to 8 pounds or whatever you call it. Number 8 on here. So before I even do it, before I tighten them up, I'm just going to get them on, to be honest. Get them on first. Probably should tighten them up, but I just want to get them on first, so don't accidentally do it. Don't accidentally drop them, because the last thing I want to be doing is dropping these. Just get them on. Just get on. Get them on really, really loose, and I'm going to tighten them up properly. And I've got to tighten them up in a certain order. It would help if I don't have mosquitoes around. So that doesn't feel like it's on right. So I'm going to take them back off. Let's do them right. Nearly done. As I say, these are all very loose. I haven't put them on tight at all. Okay, that's pretty much it. I think there's one left, but I'll do that in a second. Okay, I'm going to use actually this smaller wrench. So there we go. It's at 10. So now I do this back one here. That one. Okay, the next one is this one here. Okay. Then this one here. And then this one here. Sorry, this one here. And this one here. And this one here. Okay, then they are done. Sorry, apart from the sorry, this one here, what am I talking about? One left to do. Mosquitoes around. Pretty annoying. Okay, and there we go. Okay, so now guys, pretty much the job's completely finished. Now I just need to put on the last screws and put everything back in place, and this job is done. So I'll show you in a few minutes once I've got all these, got all my spark plugs back in, the cap on, and got all these screws put back in. Okay, so guys, we've now finished the job, all done. So as a brief recap, what have we done? We took the lid off, took the rocker cover off, we adjusted the valve lashes on it, so we did all 16 of them. The valve lashes, you can see, this is this is the details for how thick you need, the spacing you need to do it on it with your gauge. 17 at the front, 19 at the back, I think, something like that. So we did all that, tied it all up, got it right. We've then put a brand new gasket on it. We then, whilst we had it, we took the opportunity to change, literally sand down, clean the whole rocker top off, and while we were doing it, spray painted again. You will have seen at the very start it was blue, and we've now changed it to red. I think it looks a lot nicer and cleaner red. Love it. Look, it's looking nice. Cleaned it all up, put it all back on, tightened it all up. It's all looking good. So guys, that's how you adjust the valve lashes on a Honda Prelude. Hope you found it useful. Thanks for watching, guys.